Hello there. What's going on, everyone? Today, we're going to be talking about the Armada Solo AI system. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, this is a system that I have created so you can play Armada Solo at home. It's a deck-driven, a card-driven AI system. It doesn't have that many rules. It's actually, I've tried to keep it very, very simple and very much card-driven. And I've updated it a little bit with Clone Wars stuff as well as the 1.5 rule set. And I thought I wanted to just talk about this a little bit. Running the Armada Clone Wars video behind me, since I think that's kind of one of the things that helped drive this particular set of changes. And I'm going to put a link to it down in the description below. So if you haven't already been to my website, you can go to crabbok.com. You can get that and all my other content for free there, such as like my Deep Space Nine expansion, or I made a Titles expansion a while back. I've also got an AI system for Star Wars Legion for those of you who are interested in that as well. So, a little bit about this, but before I get into it, I do want to remind you guys, if you are new here, there's still time left to enter to win the giveaway. All you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos, and that's going to automatically enter you to win one of the $25 Amazon gift cards that I'm giving away. I do this like about every 2 weeks or so, this one, I should be announcing this one late this coming week, so stay tuned for that. And also check out some of the links in the description below. You're going to find links to Crabbok.com. You're going to find links to my Discord. You can hop in there. You can find links to the shirt and mask store if you want to hop onto onto Teespring and help support the channel that way. Also, Patreon is there as well. But none of that is necessary. You can still go ahead and get this for free and try it out anyway. So I do appreciate all of you guys who do show the channel some support. While supplies last, subscriptions are free. So if you click that subscribe button now, there will be zero charge. So that's pretty cool. All right, so first thing I want to talk about with the AI system, I actually updated this system a while back. The first update I made was for when Wave 8 came out. I've updated salvo tokens to just say that if the ship has the ability to salvo, that it will salvo. This way, you didn't have to change your printed cards, and I didn't have to make a new set of cards that also had a different set of tokens. And while there were a lot of other changes to tokens and a lot of other changes to this 1.5 rule set, I didn't have to make that many additional changes. But really, like, this was an older change, but I don't know if everybody's seen it. I do have like an updated list at the top of like dates when I made significant changes. So salvo is the first one that's on there. But now that we've got the Clone Wars and we've got Armada 1.5 and then the resized cards and then the retooled cards, there's certainly a lot of changes. Now, I want to preface this whole thing with, I may not have covered every situation that's going to arise. So there's two rules that I want to talk about. And the first one is the golden rule. And that one is basically, you're supposed to be having fun when you do this. So, if you've come across a crazy situation that just you can't find an explanation for in the rules, then figure it out. Just do what you think makes sense, or that would be the most fun. And now there are principles, right? There are certain principles of like fastest, best, first, earliest. The biggest first is kind of like one of those principles to the game. So they want to kind of hit their highest payload as early as possible. So they'll generally do that, but the AI also won't do things if there's no point. For example, they won't try to get something to re-roll dice if they don't have any blank dice. Even if they could potentially turn that red hit into a double, they usually won't force it. So like there's a lot of that's kind of one of the principles of the AI and some of their decisions. But there's a new rule I added, and that's the elastic clause. And this one, I did this one in Legion, and I was talking about doing it in Armada, and I finally put it in there today. But basically, what the elastic clause is you get, and this is an optional rule. You don't have to use this, but I think it's an important rule, and it really is not even much of a rule. It's more of a guideline. But basically, you've got 3 shots of overriding the AI. And what that means is, if at any point the AI pulls a card that tells you to do something that just doesn't make any sense, you can override it. Like, hey, you know what? That Super Star Destroyer, it wants to speed up, but if it speeds up right now, it's going to go off the board. I know no human player would ever do that in this particular case. There's just no reason for it. You know what? Let's override it. So you get basically 3 charges of overriding the AI if it would make a really bad decision, and that's just there to kind of help. And it's an optional rule because one of the reasons I made this a quote-unquote dumb AI is that I wanted it to be simple, so you didn't have to sit there pouring through a rule book. How does this interaction work? How does this interaction work? To be very, very simple and quick, and to make it stronger, I just wanted to give it more points. So invariably, if it does have a ship fly off the board at some point, it's not the end of the world because, hey, they got an extra 100 points on you, so it's like, that's kind of the counterbalance. However, there are some times where just a decision just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't sit right. And when I've tested it out, I'm like, oh, that just doesn't work. But I can't think of a really clean and simple and easy way to do that without having it come down to this really long, like 4-page document. Like, well, if the case is this and this and this and this, then do that. So elastic clause is there to just be the kind of catch-all for things that are just dumb. And you can do that 3 times during your game. Optional rule, though, you can certainly just double the points the AI gives you and hold them to the iron for all of those, for all of the bad choices that end up happening. So on to some of the other changes. I'll talk about them a little bit, and then I'll redirect you over to Crabbok.com. In the upgrade card collection, we didn't get it actually in the upgrade card collection, but in the token and dials expansion, we got pass tokens. Also, if you got one of the new core sets, you got pass tokens now, and the pass tokens is one of the bigger new rules that come into the game now. That basically, if you've got less ships than your opponent, you're going to get pass tokens equal to the difference. When you spend them, they are gone, and you can pass, basically. There's some rules, according to the rules reference, on when passing is legal, and it's important to kind of make the AI have some rules for when they will pass. And in basically, the rules are like so. The AI will never pass on the first turn. It will just move stuff into position. They won't start passing until turn 2. Once turn 2 begins, the AI will pass at every possible opportunity that they legally can pass. And they will do this until all of their pass tokens are spent, or until turn 4 begins, whichever comes first. So basically, they will pass on turns 2 and 3 as much as they can. If they run out of pass tokens, halfway through turn 2, then they're gone. But if they had so many that they still have pass tokens left, once turn 4 begins, they're going to just discard them. They're not going to worry about them. And that is just a roundabout way to kind of slow the approach a little bit, but usually by turn 4, you're wanting to activate quickly and shoot and do things very quickly, and you don't really want to pass as often in the late game. So that's the principles that I'm applying to the AI here. Now, granted, this is also subject under the elastic clause. If there just happens to be a scenario and that the AI would really want to pass here, then you can just overwrite this rule with one of your 3 elastic clause charges. So that's kind of basically a short summary of how that's going to work. Next is for command-driven abilities. Now this goes into fleet building a little bit. We're seeing a lot more cards now with 1.5 having changed some cards, plus some new cards that trigger off of command-specific stuff. So I figured it was time to talk about command-driven abilities, because in more and more cases now, this is, you really need it, especially with Concentrate Fire now. I feel like is probably the biggest change, at least from my personal play style, right? Concentrate Fire is a big one now for a lot of, you might have a ship built around really needing Concentrate Fire. Gunnery Team is another good example of a card that really that doesn't do anything if it doesn't have the Concentrate Fire now. So if the AI has upgrades that trigger based on a certain command type, the AI will now, that ship will now get priority for that command. Now, what priority means is that when they draw their card, if it doesn't have that command, they can draw another card, and then so basically they have twice as many chances to try and get that command. If they don't, then they go back to the first card, or I'm sorry, the second card. But if they do get it, then that'll override it. So if I'm running a ship that has clone gunners, for example, and I want to be able to trigger stuff off of concentrate fire, well, then I will draw a card, and if it doesn't have concentrate fire, I can draw a second one, and then that one will take the place. And hopefully it's concentrate fire. If not, then I didn't get it that turn. So so it's not a guarantee, but you have a better chance of actually getting the command you want for those. So if the AI has multiple command-driven abilities, it does not get any priority. So if it's got a concentrate fire and an engineering option, no priority. So they only get priority if they're running only one command type. Now, this is okay if they have two different cards that both have concentrate fire. That's fine. They still have priority. But it's the type of commands. So if they're trying to be a multi-role ship that does everything, well, then they're going to be at the mercy of the random number generator. But if it's a pinpoint-focused ship that really wants concentrate fire or really wants squadron or something like that, this is a way to make your carriers a little better as well. They'll have priority for that. But if they're trying to do everything, they don't get priority, and they're just going to be stuck with the random number generator. And then the last part is we're talking about tokens and some of the new card design here. Tokens have had a big impact in the game, and so there's going to be cards that want tokens to fuel things like exhausting, or rather like readying cards, and how and when that happened, because like some of the upgrades, it's like this is something you can ignore this rule and just do stuff that you think makes sense. You certainly can do that, but that also involves more thinking, and at a certain point you're just playing against yourself. So the way the AI is going to work on upgrades that consume command tokens is there's certain rules. So if there's multiple upgrades that all want the same token, the token will go towards the more expensive upgrade. So basically, if it has a token, it can feed a token to ready a card like this, right? And that's no problem. But if it's if it's a tie, you can just flip a coin or pull cards to decide. But once you've done that, let's say you can then, like some cards, like there's an officer that has tokens on himself that he can spend to the clone officer, right? He's got a token on himself. You can spend his own token to ready himself. So if you don't have a token on the ship ready to feed him, then he can feed himself one. So basically the priority is he'll try to eat the token on the ship first to ready himself. If not, he'll try to eat one of his own tokens to ready himself. And then then after that, then he just doesn't get readied. Then the last thing is there's one more step, is that some cards have a trigger where they can use tokens on other ships and stuff like that. So if there or any kind of outliers that don't fall into eating from the ship, eating from the card, and then eating from an alternative source, whether it's from a squadron or a ship or anything like that. And that's kind of meant to be a little bit future proof. So that's gonna basically cover like token eating. And that's basically, I think that's basically it, a summary of the changes. It's not a whole lot of changes, and I probably missed a couple of things. So if there's anything that's not covered, if there's anything big, let me know. I can update it even more, but also just use your best judgment. It's meant to be a fun system, and I know I've heard a lot of feedback from a lot of people who really enjoyed it. So it's pretty cool. I'm looking to try and see how the AI can work with mixing timelines. Wouldn't it be interesting to see a separatist fleet to take on a superstar destroyer or something like that? I think that would be that could be a lot of fun, and I'd love to try it out. All right, you guys, that's about all I've got for you today. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out crabbok.com, and you can check out all of the custom expansions and all the custom content and AI systems and stuff that I've made up there. Is free for you guys to download. Be sure to click that subscribe button, click the bell for alerts, like the video if you like the video, share the video, leave me a comment. Check out my Discord if you want to talk to other people about Armada. If you want to, show there's the painting competition is still going on too for your Armada Clone Wars stuff. So check that out as well, and that's all in Discord. And then I've got links down to social media and stuff, and all those links down in the description below. I think that's about it. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are super. I couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you so much for your continued support. I will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much, and as always, have a great day.